Well, is that day again? It's Tuesday wrestling, and we all know what that really means. That means we once again get to review NWA Powerrr, AEW Dark, and NXT. As you know, we love reviewing these three shows on Tuesdays. But, however, for the good news for everybody, I give you another special treat here. Not only we got those three shows that we're going to review, we're going to review the much recent event by Stardom in Tokorozawa, which is the 2 days after they announced the semifinals of the uh, Triangle Derby. So we have some interesting special matches. And keep in mind, Stardom is still there in the road to Himeka's road to retirement. And we got many other things taking place as we go along. And we also going to review Pro Wrestling Noah. As you know, Keiji Mutoh will be having his retirement match against Tetsuya Naito. But we got plenty of other matches. We even got stars from New Japan as well, other than Naito. We got Kaguchika Okada. We got, of course, Hiromu Takahashi. And we got wrestlers coming from DDT, Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling, and, of course, All Japan Pro Wrestling. And then, of course, to end this whole episode, we got some stuff for our news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events are being taking place, anything developments going on with wrestlers and whatnot. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Jay, right here. So welcome back, everybody. So today, as you know, we're going to be talking about Stardom in Tokorozawa, which is 2 days after their Korakuen Hall event. Our opening match, we have, of course, Rina from Odatai taking on Queen's Quest Lady C. Now, Lady C, as you know, I have seen her grown up a lot. Same thing with Rina, but the only difference is these two girls are in fact the much lesser experienced wrestlers, but they continue to grow. Rina had talked about many times over how she felt that this will be her year to win the future title. But however, Lady C has something to say about that. Lady C, as you know, she is 5'8", very tall woman, but you probably would have guessed that Rena would have won it because she seems like she's more adaptable. But not this time. It was, of course, Lady C with I'm ready to put her away, giving her the W. However, in the post match, Lady C has announced that she wants to issue a challenge for the Future of Stardom Championship, which is currently being held by Ami Sodi of God's Eye. So the obvious question is, will Ami Sodi issue the challenge? We will find out soon enough. Next up, we got Yuna Mizumori of 7 Up, member of the Neo Stardom Army, taking on Hina from Queen's Quest. Now, this was a very hard hitting match. Now, Yuna Mizumori, she's a big girl, not big like you big, but big enough. But she's very flexible. She knows exactly what she's doing. You probably would have thought Hina would have won it because of her experience as a judo. That would have been a fair play, but however, it wasn't the case. It was Yuna Mizumori with the Supergirl finisher that put her away with the 3 count. 1, 2, 3. Goodbye, Hina. Now, our next match, we have the Cosmic Angels consistent of Waka Tsukiyama, Natsupoi, Tam Nakano taking on God's Eyes, Mirai, Ami Sodi, and of course, Sudi. Now, keep in mind these teams have dealt with each other before on certain levels. Not to mention Tam, who's been unable to defeat Sudi on 2 occasions. Waka, who has some deep history with Ami Sudi and whatnot. But one thing it did lead is because as you know, Waka has been the fan favorite in this particular match. People are waiting for the day where she picks up her win. She could have won it, but however, it was the blue, like a thunder by Ami Sourei to pick up the win. But at the same time, she showed Waka that she has the title, that she'll never get to it or something. But however, she did pay attention to the person who is on the other side of the ring, and that is Lady C. But before anything else, Miyu Amasaki, another member of Queen's Quest, abruptly interrupted the post match. Um, Wanted to talk to Sudi. Now, those who don't know, you probably ask yourselves, why would Miyu Amasaki wanted to speak with Sudi? Well, as you know, she had two incredible matches in the New Blood events. The first one was with Julia when New Blood launched, and then of course there was Tam Nakano. But now she issued a challenge to Sudi. This is going to be a big challenge for Amasaki, who claims that she is the ace of New Blood. And this is going to be where she's going to be dealing with someone who is not only a top champion, but at the same time, she's good at striking and putting you in submissions. So that is something that Amisaki has to withstand. But we will see when we get there. Next up, we got Club Venus, consistent of Mariah May and Mina Shirakawa, taking on members of Stars Wingori, consistent of Saya Ida and Hanan. Now, you probably would have thought this match would have been a cakewalk in some capacity. Normally, we would see that would be the case because Mina, as you know, has grown up a lot. Not to mention with her comeback match, and many of us are still waiting when she's going to get an opportunity of the white belt once again, which is something should have been done sooner, but it hasn't. But you probably ask yourselves, how would this match end? Well, Mina was the one who picked up the win by applying the figure four leg lock onto Hanan, and Hanan had no other choice but to tap out. Next match, we got the members of Stars, consistent of Momokogo, Koguma, Azuki, and Mayu Itani, taking on Queen's Quest Miyu Amasaki, Utami Ayashida, Azumi, and Sayakami Tani. Now, you probably can guess in this particular match, there is some ligaments in this one. Utami Ayashida and Mayu go way back. If you guys remember, it was Utami who dethroned Mayu for the red belt. But however, the much bigger story is Sayakami Tani, who will never forget the loss she had against Azuki back on the 17th of January at Corkin Hall. If you remember, 2 days prior, Azuki was the one who pinned Kamitani and issued the challenge for the white belt. This was something that Kamitani did not want, but apparently it happened. So she will do whatever it takes to send a direct message to Azuki that she's not going to beat her for the title. And she did that by, of course, applying the Star Crusher to Momo Gogo, giving her and Queen's Quest the W. Now, our main event is a 5-on-5. We have the members of Oedo Tai, consistent of Ruka, Starlight Kid, Momo Watanabe, Saki Kashima, and Natsuko Tora, taking on all 5 members of DDM, which is the first time in quite some time together. We have, of course, Tekla, Mai Sakurai, Himeka, and Maika and Julia taking them. This was, once again, as you know, we always seen Oda Tai with their dirty tricks, but Oda DDM wasn't going to tolerate that without a fight. But however, it was Himeka with the Michinoku Driver 2 onto Ruka to pick up a win. However, this became a much, not an emotional match, but more like a day to remember, knowing that this would be the last time we see all 5 members of DDM as a whole. As you know, it was announced recently Himeka will be retiring. Her last match will be in April, but the ceremony will take place in May. So basically, we're just many fans will enjoy as what we get, but there'll be more to come about Himeka's road to her retirement. So we'll get to that. Right now, let's just move on to our next review, and that is Pro Wrestling Noah. Okay, Pro Wrestling Noah. This is a very special event. They're at the Tokyo Dome. This took place also on Tuesday in Japan time. This one is, of course, the Keiji Mutoh Grand Finale Pro Wrestling Last Love Holdout. So, if you guys have been aware recently, since last year, Keiji Mutoh has announced his retirement. Now, this was a retirement that was not something he decided. It was basically decided for him by doctors. If you remember clearly, he had hip surgery, but however, apparently he got the surgery, but apparently he has to call it quits. So this was one of those days. However, the Tokyo Dome was one of the discussions about possibly ending the career for Keiji Mutoh, which apparently it did grant it. However, as you know, his opponent was in fact someone who kind of was admired him for a long time. We're talking about none other than the guy who is the leader of one of the most popular factions in New Japan. We're talking about Tetsuya Naito. Now we will get to that as our main event or so. Now we do start with three pre-matches on this one. We have um, Yatsutaka Yano and Yoshiki Inamari taking on Daiki Inaba and Masa Kitamiya. I thought this match was pretty good because it showed, as you know, recently Inaba and Inamari are the new current GHC heavyweight tag team champions. And that's probably why they are good at what they do. But in fact, it was a backdrop suplex by Masa Kitamiya that put away Yano and giving them the win. Next up, we got the Tokyo Pro Wrestling girls taking the stage. We have team number one, Yuki Arai, Miyu Watanabe, Maki Ito, and Mizuki taking on Rika Tatsumi, Shoko Nakajima, Miyu Yamashita, and Yuki Sakasaki. Now, you probably say to yourselves, why certain factors? Was like, wait a minute, isn't Maki and Miyu are part of the same team? They are, but they're not afraid to fight each other. We do know that Mizuki and Yuka Sakasaki will be facing off each other for the Princess Championship. But it was a pretty good match, not to mention, not gonna lie. But as always, it was the magical girl herself with the springboard 450 onto, I believe it was on Yuki Arai, that picked up the win. So I have to say it was a pretty good opener for them, but it was great. It was the only one we know of the Tokyo Yoshi Pro Wrestling girls being there. Our final pre-show, we got the good-looking guys, consisting of Jack Morris, Anthony Green, and Jake Lee, taking on Timothy Thatcher, Satoshi Kojima, and Takashi Sugiura. Now, this is one of those matches where we're seeing now, ever since Jake Lee made his presence known in Pro Wrestling Noah a few months ago, he has now been making a huge name for himself, aligned himself with Anthony Green and Jack Morris, and I thought it was pretty good. But however, in this particular match, it was a big boot by Lee onto Thatcher that allowed them to win the match. I thought it was really interesting. I think maybe the good-looking guys are becoming a much stronger new unit in Pro Wrestling Noah. So we'll see what happens then. Now, our opening match of the main card, we have Alejandro, Junta Kiyawaki, Seki Yoshioka, Yohei, and Asushi Kodokan, members of the Noah Junior regulars, taking on Yoshinari Ogawa, Eita, who both of them are in fact our GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. They team up with Daga and the members of Stinger, Hayata, and Chris Ridgway. Now, this was a very interesting pair up. Now, I haven't been seeing Pro Wrestling Noah for quite some time now, but however, I did hear that Yoshinari Ogawa is no longer a member of Stinger. He was kicked out due to the fact that he's been teaming with Eita. As you know, Eita and him have been really good for becoming a good team. But however, Daga came around to Pro Wrestling Noah. If you guys probably ask yourselves, is this the same Daga who married Tessa Blanchard? Yes. However, he does have some history with Eita. If you guys remember a couple years back, Daga did a tour in Japan with Dragon Gate. Eito at the time was the leader of RED before it was rebranded to Zebrat, and I thought it was great to see those two together. However, it was in this particular match that kind of makes me think, okay, can this team coexist? Since we know that Ridgway and Hayata will be challenging Eita and Ogawa for the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles. It kind of did. It went with chokeslam by Ridgway to who was it? On Junta Kiyawaki. But however, Daga, Eita, and Ogawa attacked them from behind and sending a direct message. So basically, it's like, okay, we done our job. were back being enemies. So that's how it is. But they left the direct message saying that they're never going to beat them for the titles. So that's what really happened for them. Now, our next match, we have a DDT match. We have Takeshi Masada, Yuya Koruku, um, Hideki Okatani, and Tetsuya Endo taking on all four members of 37 Kamina, Toi Kojima, Shuna Katsumata, Maho, and Yuki Inoue. I thought this was interesting because, as you know, Konosuke Takeshita is a member of 37 Kamina, but he's currently, here in the States. Seeing them that they're doing far more better for themselves without Takeshita has been great for them. I'm sure they'll be aiming for the top soon as in no time. I know that currently Yuki Uno is the current DDT Universal Champion, but that's how it plays out. But in this case, it was of course Yuki Uno with the Ranhei to Masada that gave, of course, 37 Kamina the win. Next up, we got Ninja Mac, El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr., and Naomichi Marufuji taking on Z-Brats from Dragon Gate, consistent of Kai, Diamante, and Shun Skywalker. Now, keep in mind, Z-Brats had made appearances in Pro Wrestling Noah before. However, you're dealing with three of the most top competitors. You know, Ninja Mac, former GSE champion, um, Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., current GHC national champion, and of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Naomichi Marufuji. But however, in this case, it was a big moonsault by Wagner onto Kai that gave them the win. I thought it was pretty impressive seeing this particular match. Next up, we got members of Congo consistent of Soya Monobu, Katsuhiko Nakajima, and Keno. They take on members of the All Japan roster consistent of Yuma, Aoyagi, Suwama, and Kento Kihara. I thought this match was pretty good. However, prior before this, it appears that there's some shared history between two particular wrestlers, that is Kihara and Nakajima. It's kind of interesting they talk about each other in certain aspects, but in this case, you know that how Nakajima, he is the most dangerous person. He'll put you down to sleep no matter what, or send you to a hospital. But in this case, it was a diving stomp by Keno onto Aoyagi that kept up the win. Congo once again showed why they are the top supreme unit in Pro Wrestling Noah. Next up, we got Masada Nosawa Rangai versus Bullet Club members Geto and Taiji Shimura. Now, keep in mind, those who don't know, Keiji Mutoh is not the only one who's going to be retiring. So is Nosawa Rangai. He has some shared history with both Geto and Ishimori. Let me skip to the part that got very emotional. There was a moment where Rangai was on his knees. He's telling Masada to stand out. He was telling Ishimori, take the shot. But you can tell by Ishimori he was crying. He didn't want to do this. This takes me back to Shawn Michaels when he did the same thing to Ric Flair. Remember, it was that day where Shawn Michaels tells him, I love you, and he super kicked him, and it was over right from there. It's like the same thing. I mean, you can tell by Ishimori he didn't want to do it, but he had to. And it was pretty amazing that this will be Nagawa's run this way. Some of you may ask me now, why is he retiring too? Well, due to injuries, and as you know, he started out being in death matches and all that. His body can take so much, so basically he wants to retire from it, and that's pretty understandable. But the match itself was good. Now, our next match we have, of course, two of the best junior heavyweights in two of the biggest promotions. We have Amasuka who is the current GHC junior heavyweight champion, taking on the current IWGP junior heavyweight champion, Hiromu Takahashi, This was a pretty good match. I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, this is more like who is the top junior heavyweight right now, and I feel those two are at the top of the mountain right now in their own respective promotions. But in this case, it was Hiromu with the Time Bomb 2 that put away Amasuka, giving him the win. Now, our next match, this was a match that many fans have been expecting. We have the two top champions in their respective promotions. We got Kaito Kiyomiya, who is the current GHC heavyweight champion, taking on the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Kazuchika Okada. Now, this dates back a month ago, during 2 years ago, where Kiyomiya wanted to have a match against the Rainmaker himself, but that match never happened due to the fact that the world got shut down. So it was kind of like almost forgotten. But last year, Kiyomiya actually got in the face of Okada, and Okada kind of did not want nothing to do with them. And then later, a month ago, during the down in Yokohama, um, Okada ignored Kiyomiya, and of course led to a shoot fight. But this match, as you know, was pretty good. Now the New Japan, I don't know whose idea was it, but the officials made the choice. This match will go into a no time limit, and Kiyomiya only lasted 20 minutes with Okada, and he was very disappointed that he lost. However, Chris Carlton asked Okada, any chance for another rematch? He says no. He doesn't want nothing to do with Kiyomiya or Pro Wrestling Noah. So that kind of sets it all. So, well, that's what he wants. Our next match, we have Tetsuya Naito versus Keiji Mutoh. This was a pretty good match. I think it was amazing. Now, keep in mind, Naito has influenced by Muto for a long time. Um, Naito got his wish to be in the main event for Tokyo Dome. He didn't get to do that at Wrestle Kingdom, but he got to do this for this one. I think it worked out pretty well. But it only took a destino for Naito to put away Keiji Muto. Now at the post match promo, uh, Muto called out Masahiro Chono. As you know, those two guys have deep hated history. So they had like a match, like a proper retirement match that that Chono never had. So he had Tiger Hattori, who's retired, as a referee, and it played out pretty well. But it was of course a crossface by Chono to put away Naito. I had to say this was a pretty good event. I enjoyed the fact now that Muto's retired, it's going to be a bummer. But I'm sure we all will remember the kind of genius he's been as a wrestler and a performer. So I think that's pretty much it with Pro Wrestling Noah. I believe it's time to move on with NWA Powerrr. Okay, NWA Powerrr opened up with a very interesting tag match. We have Blunt Force Trauma, consistent of Carnage and Damage, along with that Weasel, Aaron Stevens, taking on Dak Draper and Mims. Now, we know that those two have been a cohesive unit recently, but however, this match did not go exactly like we thought. We don't know what the purpose was. The fact is, Aaron Stevens, as you know, he has that one black glove that's loaded to ensure he knocks out his opponent. However, the referee saw it and disqualified them from this match. We don't know what's the purpose. We know he talked about tag team gold in the past, but is this really the right statement? We don't know for sure. But we are seeing some development's been taking place. So we'll just gotta wait and see what happens then. Now we do get a little interesting interview with May Valentine. She interviews both the our newly crowned NWA World Television Champion Tom Latimer and of course our current defending NWA World Heavyweight Champion Tyrus. Now Tom Latimer, he is willing to put his title on the line against a guy who he knows pretty well, and that is, of course, Red Titus. So he is going to put that belt. However, the obvious question that May Valentine asked is about Tyrus and his relationship with Black G's. As you know, Black G's recently showed up with Control Your Narrative himself, EC3. We don't know what's going on, but it seems like they may be separate, going their separate ways or so. As you know, Jordan Clearwater lost television title to Tom Latimer. We don't know exactly the status of um, Idol Idolmania Sports something, but it is clear now that Tyrus knows he has a target on his back. Who knows who will be the next person? So he'll be waiting for the next opponent that will be challenging him. Now at the podium we do have Kyle Davis interviewing Kerry Morn. As you know, Kerry Morn, after what happened at the tag match, he and his father kind of settled their difference on this one. But however, he is currently our reigning NWA Junior Heavyweight Champion. However, it seems that Jamie Stanley shows up to inform him that Joe Alonzo, someone who has been trying to make a point to himself, that he is, excuse me, that he's the next person in line to hopefully to dethrone Kerry Moore. So all we got to do is wait and see. But Kerry Moore decided, let's put ourselves to the test. He picks a competitor of his choosing to take him on, while he picks one himself. So we'll see how that plays out pretty well. Now, our next match is an open challenge for the NWA National Heavyweight Championship. However, was this wise by Austin Idol? We saw this thing with Jordan Clearwater, but it did not go well his way. But the person who responded to the open challenge is Kratos. I thought this match was pretty good because it showed Zion that he's willing to defend the title no matter what, as long as his dad, Austin Idol, is there to guide him. But however, the match in a draw, basically, there is no winners, no losers. But however, Zion retains the title. So that kind of sets it in right there. Now, um, we had a very interesting interview with Mae Valentine. Billy Cyrus is looking forward to deal with one particular wrestler, and that is Judas. Now, Judas is a monster. Father James Mitchell informed him, saying that the Judas is a genetic monster. So basically, he's saying he's enhanced human, that sort of thing. But we'll see what happens then. Now we have our next match is Odison versus Matt Cardona. This match was okay in every aspect, but however, it did showed that Matt Cardona, who is still pissed off knowing that he did not win the 10 pounds of gold, he uses the purpose canister onto Odison while the referee didn't see it. However, Bully Ray shows up telling him he's a cheater and all this and that. So basically, they're going back and forth with this. Now, Maeve, on a special closed interview by Joe Galli, he interviews Black G's and EC3. Now, it appears that now there's a new relationship. Now they're calling it Church's Money Entertainment, something like that. So basically, they're building up a brand new relationship. So basically, it's more like Black Jesus going his separate ways, doing his own thing. So that's what it tells us. Our next match is the NWA World Women's Tag Team Titles. We have champions. Our newer crown ones, the Renegade Twins, take on Pretty Empowered 2.0, consistent of Roxy and Ella Envy. Now, you probably can guess this match would fall in favor of the Renegade Twins, but however, Roxy used the tights in order on one of the twins to become the brand new tag team champions. However, a certain twist came around. As you know, we have those who won the champion series, and one of them is Maddie. Maddie and her and Misa Kate decided they're going to challenge them for the title. So this was unexpected, and of course, it was Maddie with the scissor kick onto Ella Envy that allowed both Maddie and Ella and Misa Kate to become our brand new NWA Women's World Tag Team Champions. I'm like, wow, what a twist! I think nobody wanted the in Pretty Empower, but however, this is what the Champion Series exists for. Basically, they'll get an opportunity for a title match. So we'll see what happens then. Right now, let's move on with AEW Dark. Okay, AEW Dark. So we only had about 7 stacked matches. All of matches took place at the Universal Studios Orlando Soundstage Studio. Our first opening match, we have Slim J along with his pals, the Trustbusters, taking on Matt Sydal. It's been a while since we've seen him. I thought this match was pretty good, but however, there was the X factor in this one with, of course, the Trustbusters would do whatever it takes to win the matches. But you probably would have thought in your minds the Trustbusters were going to steal this. Nope. Matt Sydal somehow was able to pick up the win by applying the Lightning Spiral Jones and picked up the win with the 1-2-3 to Slim J. However, the celebration never happened thanks to the malicious attack of the Trustbusters. It was a numbers game, but however, luckily AR Fox and Top Flight showed up to give the helping hand. So you can tell there's going to be a big tag team match. So I think it's going to be a 4-on-4. You got Matt Sydal, AR Fox, and Top Flight taking on the entire Trustbusters. Sonny Kiss, Jeeves K, Slim J, and Ari Daivari. So that's how I picture it for that particular match that could happen. Next up, we got Julia Hart versus Devlin Macabre. I think I pronounced it right. You probably can guess this match in the favor of Julia Hart when she applied her submission to Heartless. And it was all right there when she tapped out. Next up, we got the Workhorsemen, JD Drake, Anthony Henry taking on Oliver Sawyer and Jay Malachi. Um, I don't know when did it happen during the match, but JD Drake was busted bleeding like right here, but it did not stop him from being one of those rough, tough competitors, which he did when both Henry and Drake applied an Insiguri flatliner combo, which was pretty good. I like the ending. It happened on Malachi, and they picked up the win from there. So, but hopefully JD is okay. He just gets fixed up. Next up, we got the Renegade Twins, Charlotte and Robin taking on Lizzie and Peyton Blair. For the record, if you guys know this, we just had NWA just a while ago talking about the Renegade Twins losing the NWA women's titles, but they posted out on social media saying, "Oh, they're pulling a doubleheader." I thought it was great, but you can guess that this match ended in the Renegade Twin favors. Now, some of you saying, are they signed with any company? As far as I know, they haven't mentioned anything about that, but they are familiarized with AEW ever since the pandemic days. They actually made frequent appearances there. But of course, this match fell in favor when they applied a spinebuster combo to pick up the win. I mean, I feel like the Renegade Twins should be able to be signed with any company. I mean, it could be with NWA, it could be with AEW, but yeah. Now we do see a very interesting interview with with Lexi Nair. This is the first time ever these two guys ever team up. We have Joro Joel and Rohit Raju. I mean, basically, I like how Rohit Raju did all the talking, made the value of points, and of course, Joro Joel, he didn't have to repeat it, but he said it in his native language of Hindu. Uh, Probably you can guess exactly what he said, but this is going to be putting through these two guys to the test. First time ever. Keep in mind, build up tag teams is not as simple as like teams that have been established for a long time. That's one of the things. Next up, we have our next match is Preston Vance taking on Blanco Loco. You can guess this match ended in Preston Vance's way with the disc lariat, and then of course post match he removed Blanco Loco's mask off. Once again, that's what he does. Next up, we got Tony Deppen taking on Caleb Connolly. I know some of you are saying, wait a minute, is it Tony Deppen a GCW guy? Yeah, I was surprised that I think this is the third or fourth appearance so far. I don't know how many times he's been showing up in AEW Dark, but yeah, he's been making appearances there, and he I don't know if AEW are very interested in him. That's one of the things that we don't know, because AEW Dark is one of those shows where we're picking up talent that are not well known, but we want to test them, that sort of thing. But Tony Deppen is one of those guys I feel could potentially be signed, but only time will tell. But it was a good match. I mean, very interesting. Not to mention Caleb Conley. I know who he is. I've seen him various times with Impact Wrestling. He's done some NWA stuff. He actually took over the Suicide gimmick for a while, but Tony Deppen picked up the win when he applied a striking elbow to the back of the head of Connolly, giving him the win. Next up, we got the Iron Savages, Bronson and Boulder taking on Chris Sanson and Tiger Kid. No, Terry Kid. Um, you can guess that this match fails in favors of the Iron Savages because they are the most brutal guys ever. They are, well, that is going to take hard to pill, but in fact, they won by pinfall by a plot when they squashed both Samson and Kid down, thanks to Bronson. So he did a double pin on both. So that kind of ended right there for them. Next up, of course, is Joro Joel and Rohit Raju taking on Dale Springs and Bryce Cannon. Now, how did these two do? I think they did pretty well. I mean, we could definitely see a well-established tag team between both Rohit and Jora. I mean, they are very interesting to follow. I mean, you got Rohit Raju has a different type of energy. Joro Joel is the guy with who takes things seriously. I mean, there's a good combo. But I have to say they did pretty good. There was some, but this match ended with, of course, a pump kick by Joro Joel all to Dale, giving them a win. I say we could see more of these two teaming up down the line if that's the case. What's going to be in. Next up, I have to say this is one of the best matches. Billy Starks versus Emi Sakura. Oh man, this match was good. I'm not gonna lie, guys. Now I know some of you who don't watch Dark, there are some moments where we will see some good matches, and this is one of them. Billy Starks, you probably say, um, I mean, she has been making a big name of herself in various promotions, especially now with her making appearances in Tokyo Pro Wrestling. But what a match! But there was a good moment. I don't know when it happened, but Emi Sakura was bleeding. I mean, I'm sure everybody in Got to Move, Choco Pro were concerned, but she's okay. But I have to say, this match was amazing. I think it was a really good one. But unfortunately, it was Emi Sakura with the moonsault that picked up the win. But I have to say, this is one of my favorite matches. Next up, we got someone you guys already know, Brady um, Booker, formerly known as Bodie Hayward. Yes, guys, it's the same Bodie Hayward with Chase University. So he was there. If you guys remember clearly, last year he was let go, which was a total shocker to many fans. I mean, I like Bodie. He was that one character we can enjoy. But it was surprising that he was going to make appearance here in AEW Dark. But I think many fans felt, look, like probably some of you thought that it was a load of BS that WWE let him go. I mean, he was doing good. We all would have agreed with that. But it's thankful that AEW gave him an opportunity. His opponent is against Dak Draper. Funny, I just mentioned him too in NWA. But I have to say he did a pretty good. He did had a good moment, but I felt like maybe the match wasn't that good just yet. I can tell there was some struggles in this match, but don't get me wrong, he is a wrestler we can definitely try to get behind. But he picked up the win. I felt like this was a bad torture rack. He was trying to apply like a torture rack, but I felt like it didn't look like a torture rack to me. But I know that they're there to learn, as you know, because wrestlers like Bodie Hayward, people who are not established yet in big companies, they call them the enhancements. Basically, they're learning as they go, and I think that's a good thing. And don't forget, some of the veteran wrestlers are there to coach them just in case. Next up, we got the Wingmen, Peter Avalon, Cedar Bononi, and Ryan Mendez taking on Jay Marte, Jarrett Diaz, and Rich Animas. You can guess this match falls in favors into the Wingmen thanks to, of course, a diving splash by Avalon to Diaz after they got rid of the other Bononi and Mendez got rid of the other two. Next up, we got the boys taking on Jarrett and Singh. You can guess that much of the work was done by Jarrett, but the finisher was the big man himself, Satnam Singh, when he chokeslammed both men. Our main event is Tony Nese versus Trent Beretta. Now this came about because, as you know, there was some shared history between Tony Nese and Trent Beretta, where they were tag team partners in the past. Tony Nese said something that kind of offended uh, Trent, where he says that Josh Woods is the better tag team partner he ever had. I mean, they Trent Beretta and Tony Nese were a good established tag team, but it turns out that they had some like Tony Nese was upset with him because he got signed with WWE without telling him, I mean, AEW without telling him, that sort of thing. But looks like that was going to be the case. But you probably would have thought that Tony Nese, who is a much technical athlete, would have won this match. Nope. But it took a lot of strong will by Trent not to give in to Tony Nese, no matter what he tried to do to him. But he did pick up a good win, ending his little chapter with him. So I thought it was good. There was some good matches. Don't get me wrong. I mean, people could say it's boring. We only see like the jobbers getting their asses kicked, that sort of thing. But that's how I see it. But we'll see what happens next week. But right now, let's move on to our final review, NXT. Okay, our final review, NXT. It opened up with Trick Williams versus Ilya Dragunov. Now, if you guys remember clearly, a couple weeks ago when Ilya Dragunov returned, Trick Williams charged at him and then he got torpedo Moscowed. Now, if Trick Williams was smart enough, he could have stayed out of the way, knowing he came for JD McDonough. But the following week, we did see, of course, when Ilya Dragunov came out, he was trying to get his hands on JD McDonough, but he was attacked from behind by Trick Williams. And then Trick Williams saying that, oh, Ilya Dragunov, he's not that badass. I'm the guy. I'm going to hurt him for. So he keeps saying that. He doesn't understand. Don't mess with the Tsar. So he tried to learn it the hard way, but of course there was only one distraction by Ilya Dragunov is JD McDonough. Now keep in mind, JD McDonough thought he got rid of him once and for all, but nope. Like people would say, he's like a cockroach who will not die. That's how he probably visions him. But you know that Ilya Dragunov has his eyes on him, but he has to deal with Trick Williams. But it only took a torpedo Moscow. I don't know if Trick Williams really thinks that he is the much dangerous and competitor. No. But we will see some point Jay McDonough and Ilya Dragunov squared off once again. Now, if you remember last week, Brooke Jensen went on a date with Kiana James. Apparently, Fallon Henley kind of messed things up. She tried to apologize to Brooke Jensen by calling him over and over. No response. Even Josh Briggs tried to tell him to give him some time. But of course, later on, she did approach to Kiana James to apologize to her, and they buried the hatchet. So hopefully things will work out, but we don't know how Brooks Jensen will be. Now, throughout much of the entire episode, we do see Roxanne training with Meiko Satomura. I think this shows, okay, Meiko, she is a little bit uh, one of those competitors, that if you guys know this, she runs her own promotion in Japan called Sendai Girls, and I'm sure she trains many of them. I'm sure she's learning the system herself. First, it's like you started with a big class, and then it was getting shorter and shorter. But keep in mind that she will see Roxanne in a couple of weeks for Roadblock. That's the next show, NXT Roadblock. Now, Tyler Bate, as you know, comes out and giving out his promo about telling the fans, come to a journey and not sort of. But once again, the schism with this thing about acceptance, they're trying to get Tyler Bate to drink the schism's Kool-Aid, as people would say. But of course, Tyler Bate is not interested in that. He's not trying to join something that doesn't fit his persona. But however, when it was like a numbers game, luckily Chase U showed up because the dyad Fowler and Jagger were and Reed, Jagger Reed and Rip Fowler were taking on Andre Chase and Duke Hudson. However, things did not go according to plan in an attack meet match with those guys. Once again, they put the fear in their hell, trying to get her to see the light. But however, Duke Hudson is upset that Dale Hell cannot overcome what they did to her the last time. So we just gotta wait and see what happens. Now, as you know, once again, Mr. Stone, he is doing everything in his power to get Von Wagner to listen to him. Because as you know, Von Wagner, he could be a good talent, a good competitor for a title shot. But the problem is he's not listening to Stone. He's trying to understand him, saying, look, help me to help you. I need to know who Von Wagner really is. But once again, the arrogance of Von Wagner happened until they were visited by Stax and Tony D'Angelo. And of course, Tony D'Angelo put himself in the match against Von Wagner. And this went against what Mr. Stone wanted. But once again, Wagner is being stubborn as hell. Now, if you guys remember what happened, Drew Gulak left behind Hank Walker and sided with Charlie Dempsey. It's like Charlie Dempsey was trying to tell him, you got a weak link, dump him. And that's exactly what happened. I wouldn't be surprised if Hank Walker actually gets his revenge on Drew Gulak, or he finds a better instructor. I don't know which is which. Now, as you know, Toxic Attraction is no more. The only one left standing is Jay-Z Jane taking on Indy Hartwell. Now, if you remember clearly, Indy Hartwell felt that Jay-Z Jane should not be the one going to, jumping the line. But however, this match did not go how I thought. But however, I think it felt like, okay, if you guys remember last week, Jay-Z Jane saying that Gigi Dolan is done, it's over, she's never coming back. Well, she was wrong. She was attacked by her the match, and I'm going to presume no contest. But it kind of went into Gigi Dolan beating the crap out of Jay-Z Jane outside the ring. So I think Jay-Z has to try to think. She thought she had the entire world in the palm of her hand, but Gigi got in the way again. But we'll see what happens in the upcoming weeks between those two. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a match coming up at NXT Roadblock, if that's the case. Now, we do get an interview with Zoe Starks now. Zoe Starks, once again, is pissed off knowing that Meiko Satomura jumped the line, saying that, that she got a title opportunity. And they ask why. Why her? Well, Meiko Satomura is a legend. She is the final boss. And of course, she doesn't like how people in the back, the women's locker room, are kissing up to Roxanne to kill for a title shot. So she felt that she deserves the right to that. But it was later revealed that the Meiko Satomura and Zoe Starks will duke it out on NXT. Now, our next match we have in a non-title match, the Gallows Boys, Wolfgang and Mark Coffey taking on Malik Blade and Enofa Edris. Now, keep in mind, the Gallows are on top. They've been hoping to get it back on top ever since their suspension was lifted. It was pretty good. You probably would have assumed that this match will fall in favor of the Gallows to establish themselves, which they did until Wolfgang pinned Malik Blade. But however, some two jokers with a cake showed up and then they just beat them up. But I don't know if that was a distraction by Pretty Deadly. They just viciously attacked Gallows, throwing them through the steel steps and the steel steps. Pretty Deadly, as you know, they felt that those titles belonged to them. Now, keep in mind, I think Gallows are not going to let this slide. Sooner or later, they will get their little payback. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be those tag titles will be defended at NXT Roadblock, if that's the case. Now, we still going on with the story with Apollo Crews and Dabba-Kato. As you remember, Dabba-Kato betrayed him. He's telling the entire world that Apollo Crews knows what happened. So basically, Apollo Crews doesn't know what he's talking about. I mean, I'm going to presume that maybe he might have left them and that sort of thing. But we'll see in the upcoming weeks. Excuse me. Next up, we got Tony D'Angelo versus Von Wagner. Now, Mr. Stone did not like this idea one way or the other. Instead of helping, he just sits there to him, go ahead, see what you're going to do. Go ahead. I'm going to sit right here. That's what he was doing the entire time. I mean, Von Wagner, don't get me wrong, he's big, he's dangerous, but Tony D is a very crafty wrestler. He knows exactly what he's doing. I think that's what led to Von Wagner to lose until um, Tony D'Angelo picked up the win. I'm sure Mr. Stone is not happy with how this match ended. If Von Wagner has indecency, he needs to talk to Mr. Stone if he's going to find success. However, Tony D put out a how do I say in post match interview. Um, Apparently his feud with Dijak is not even over just yet, so he wants to end it soon enough. So he set up an offer for NXT Roadblock, saying, "How about a jailhouse street fight?" So we don't know what Dijak would say, but we'll just wait until next week what he has to say. Now, it's been a while since we've seen Nikita Lyons. She comes out and she's saying that she will be out of action for almost a year, but she hopes that she makes it back less than that if it's possible. But there is still no indication who attacked her. There's no one, and this and that. And of course, someone had to be a buzzkill, and that is Tiffany Stratton, who tries to get the attention, acting like she's out, no one cares about her. I mean, come on, we don't know who attacked her, but I wouldn't be surprised if Nikita Lyons gets her little payback against her once she gets healed up. That sort of thing. Now, Ivy now, as you know, she is set to face against Alba Fire, but Tatum Paxley, as you know, recently was being accused by Isla Dawn, claiming that she is the one responsible for Nikita Lyons because she was outside. But however, there's no indications of that. But Tatum Paxley does not like what's been going on, so she chose to stay inside, despite that she's supposed to be there with Ivy now, that sort of thing. But we'll see. Now, as you know, Trick Williams had a very intense match with Ilya Dragunov. He doesn't seem like he is. He probably realized he made a mistake, but however, Carmelo Hayes, he is trying to seize his moment. Keep in mind, Carmelo Hayes has one thing in mind right now, is a shot of the NXT title. Uh, and then, of course, they were visited by Tyler Bate, who is giving them a positive message. Now, Hayes doesn't like him for one reason. One, we know Tyler Bate could be a potential competitor for the NXT title. But Tyler Bate doesn't seem like he's interested at the moment. He's trying to have people join with me, that sort of thing. But we'll see what happens then. Our next match is Alba Fire versus Ivy Nile. Now, Tatum Paxley at first did not want to be outside the ring, but she decided to do it because of the Diamond Mine motto. Things did not go according to plan. Ivy Nile accidentally hit her, but it cost the match for her. The real question is how Tatum Paxley feels about this. We don't know, but Alba Fire did pick up the win. Now, once again, Wesley, we don't know what he's thinking. He actually had an interview. He said next week he's going to issue another open challenge for the NXT North American title. So we don't know who will accept it, but we'll be waiting. Now, our main event, we have Jinder Mahal along with Indus Sher taking on Braun Breaker. Now, keep in mind, there were some things I did not know about Jinder Mahal. It turns out that Jinder Mahal, if you guys know history all too well, Jinder Mahal was part of the inaugural who's going to be crowned the first ever NXT champion, and his opponent in that time was someone you guys know, Seth frickin' Rollins. That's right. So you can tell that this is more like, okay, I want to go back to get the one title that still eluded me, and that was it. Keep in mind, Jinder Mahal has won the WWE title and the United States Championship. So I feel like this felt more like he wants this title that eluded him throughout his career, and I think it's understandable of that because This is the one title he has. But however, there is the X factor with in the share being in the outside. However, Braun Breaker took them out. But you probably can guess in the show would have gotten involved. But luckily, the Creed brothers show up, who still has some unfinished business. Now, you probably would have thought Jinder Mahal would have won this match, but no, it took only one spear by Braun Breaker to put away Jinder Mahal and retain the title. However, looks like Carmelo Hayes is now making the play, showing him he is going to be the one to challenge him. Now, there are fans recently, if you have paid attention in the last 2 weeks, they have been booing Braun Breaker. I feel like, I think in the point of view, people are saying we're getting tired of him. Give the title to someone else. And I think many fans are also speculating, is he ready to go to the main roster? That is something we don't know. I mean, he does seem like he could potentially go. We'll just wait and see. Now, the entire NXT did not end that way. Once again, Grayson Waller shows up. He hijacks the production booth. It's a playbook. This was a playbook that was done by none other than DX. If you guys remember, when DX reunited, they took over the production truck. So basically, Grayson Waller felt that he was being disrespected, that this entire show is all about him. So he wants to deal with Shawn Michaels at NXT Roadblock. So I don't know what Shawn Michaels is going to say, but we know that he's been in his face after losing at Vengeance Day. So we'll see what happens in the upcoming weeks between these two. So I think that's pretty much it with NXT. I believe it's time for our final thing, news updates. Okay, welcome to the news updates. Now, this one was talked about recently by many Stardom fans. As you know, Himeka announced her retirement. There were those that were questioning the matches she chosen. Now, keep in mind, she did say she wants to have a hardcore rules match with Risa Sera, or probably Prominence, which is going to happen. She will have her match with Chihiro Hashimoto when that happens. Who else? What other matches she did stated? She would like to do something, either a singles match or tag match with Kakeru Sekiguchi. That is still pending, I believe. But there was one match that many fans were hoping, and this was a match that I think that many fans wanted to see. Um, they want her to have a match against Natsupoi. Now, if you guys remember clearly, back on January 9th of 2022, Natsupoi betrayed Julia and DDM to align herself with the Cosmic Angels. But you can tell by the look, if you follow the storyline very carefully, Himeka was upset by this betrayal for many reasons. Because, if you guys remember, Natsupoi felt that everybody in DDM were treating her like a mascot or a pet. But Himeka told her that she never treated her that way. That she always been like a special kind of friend that she always had. But you can tell this match is more like, how do I say, that this is where that moment where Himeka will try to kill Natsupoi for her betrayal. And I think many of us probably felt that this was a long time coming, and it's been announced now that on the Himeka retirement road, it's going to happen. It's going to take place in Corkin Hall on the 10th of March, I believe. But yeah, so basically it's going to happen within a month. Looking forward to it. Now, if you guys remember clearly, I did mention I reviewed the latest Pro Wrestling Noah, which features Keiji Mutoh's last match. As you know, Kato Kiyomiya lost big time to Okada, less than 20 minutes. Even the fact that the match was supposed to be no time limit, it ended quickly. However, while Kiyomiya is licking his wounds, sad that he did not pick up the win. He was viciously attacked by one person, and that is, of course, Jake Lee. Now, keep in mind, Jake Lee originally came from All Japan Pro Wrestling, and now he is established himself in Pro Wrestling Noah. And now he sets his target against Kiyomiya for the GHC Heavyweight Championship. So he issued the challenge. He wants a shot. So we'll see what happens then, if it could happen. Now, new WrestleCon has announced for new guests to make their appearances for this year. We have May Valentine and the Art of Finesse, Chris Bay. So I hope if you guys are planning to go to LA to meet them, now you know they're going to be there. GCW has announced for the Jimmy Lloyd's D-Generation F that takes place on the 31st of March. We're going to have a match between Titus Alexander versus Cold Roderick. House of Glory even put up a big, interesting match for the With Glory Comes Pride that takes place on the 10th of March. Loki, the professional, will be going head-to-head against the debuting of Kushida. This is going to be one huge match. I know it completely. Now, as you all know, Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling will be here in the States and LA during WrestleMania week. As you know, I mentioned Billy Starks will be there. Now, it turns out she is not the only foreign wrestler who had made appearances in this promotion. It's also been announced that Trish Adora will also be appearing there too. So it's great to see. If you guys remember, Trish Adora did challenge for the International Princess title against Miyu Watanabe, but she came up short. So it's great that she's going to be there. Now, our final update, if you guys remember clearly, there is an all women's project that All Japan Pro Wrestling's been working in. This one was mostly been produced by none other than Suwama and Sushi Ishikawa. They're trying to build up a women's division in All Japan or something like that called Evolution Girls. They announced for several girls to be named, but however, the wait is finally over. They announced that they will have their first official event that will take place on the 31st of March, and it's going to be at Shinkiba First Ring. Now, the three girls they announced that will be participating their name is Sunny, Zones, and Chi Chi. So these three will be having their first matches. However, they already handpicked their opponents. Sunny will be facing against Miyuki Takase. That will be interesting. Zones will be in a match against Rina Yamashita. And then finally, Chi Chi will be in the biggest, toughest test of them all. She'll be facing you. So basically, this will happen. I mean, I think this is a long time coming. I mean, I've been following this for a while. I did mention about women's wrestling and appearing in promotions like New Japan, Noah, and now All Japan. That is something that's been talked about for a while. So I will talk about that more on the podcast, but we'll see about that. So I think that's pretty much it. I think it's time for us to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Good thing I catched up with Stardom and, of course, with Pro Wrestling Noah. I will talk more about the matches with on the podcast with the Pro Wrestling Noah, most specifically with, of course, Kato Kiyomiya and Okada, and, of course, Muto and Naito on that. Coming up, we got New Japan Pro Wrestling with Fantastic Mania. Now, those who aren't familiarized with this particular show, this happens every year where we got the wrestlers of New Japan team collaborate with the wrestlers from CMML all the way from Mexico. It's really fun. I have seen many of their events. I enjoyed it a lot. So we'll see how this one plays out. Also, we cannot forget AEW Dynamite. Who knows what's going to happen? I'm excited to see how this one's going to go as well. If there's any other events that I'm going to review, I will put them out. There's still some I haven't seen yet, but we'll go from there. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.